Hey everybody, I'm washing rice right now, so I do apologize if you hear that in the background. Let's go ahead and get right on into it. So there were four things that got signaled today. All of them did extremely well. So let's talk about it. First thing was Bank of America, BAC, and had a big gap up to the upside this morning. I guess not a gap, but a big push up this morning because it started here. So pre-market went a little wild. But let's take a note of a couple of things. One, where is the pre-market low? Okay, let's keep that in mind. Where is the pre-market low? Okay, so we're waiting for the signal, right? We are beneath the bottom band of the VWAP pretty much all freaking day from when we start, right? We tap the pre-market low right here. Look at that. Dink, we tap it. We give the false push up. We're rejecting off the bottom band. We break through the pre-market low. We break through entry. This is one of those perfect things ever. And then we just run. This contract would have made a lot if you had gotten into it and just held, because it didn't take that long to reach 1, 2, 3, 4 price targets. And on something like the 15-minute chart, if you're somebody that likes the higher time frames, you can see here you never would have had a reason to get out of the play. Breaks through, 2 down, 2 down. This is a 2 down, a 1. Why sell on a 1? 2 down, end of the day. So this thing did exactly what it was supposed to do. Next thing, and I personally made some money off of this as well, and I can just show you guys really quick too, for anybody watching. Let me make sure that my details are hidden though before I do show it. This is one of the perks of, Face ID, bam. This is one of the perks of, being one of the students, being in the Discord, getting the signals live. You can join me, you can make a bag, just following along the signals. You can see AMD in there, Uber, MA, $885 today. And I'm still swinging some of the ones that are, bigger swings. Uber, I have a couple contracts left, and it is part of the weekly swing. AMD is the monthly play, and MA I will explain as we keep going. So moving on to Walmart, this is the next one that I'll do. Walmart pretty much started right at entry this morning, like just slightly above it. Pre-market, it was down right below it, and then just right before the market opened up. As you can see, pre-market here, it was down, it was beneath entry, came back down beneath entry, right? And then right as the market opened up, it shot back up again. But then as you see right here, it actually shot down right below entry. Again, this is why it triggered the alert. And then in a couple of minutes, took out PT1, PT2, and got a 1 penny away from PT3. It did end up taking out PT3 later on in the day, but you could have literally been done with Walmart in the first 5 minutes of the day. And it's just one of those beautiful moments when we use the strat and everything kind of lines up in itself. I would have been done here, to be completely honest. In 5 minutes, if this takes out 3 price targets, I'm done for the day. Could you have looked for a re-entry here at entry? Yes. And what would you have been looking for? For it to be closing and staying above the VWAP, or just immediately rejecting it, right? You could have gotten the immediate breakthrough here, then you would have been choppy, and then it would have ended up playing out, because you're saying to yourself, as long as we, are staying up above this pretty consistently or pushing towards it, and I still feel good, and I'll get stopped out at maybe 10, 20%, whatever it is. But don't look at this and think that this is a far way away from entry. If you'd gotten it at entry, 59.50, the lowest that it dropped over here was 59.45. It's 5 pennies. You wouldn't have been losing out on a large amount of percentage on that at all. It just would have been annoying to be within this chop before it finally bounced off the VWAP and entry, and then took off all the way again to its third price target. So Walmart was a banger for anybody that took it when I signaled it today. All right, next two. Let's talk about these next two. These are the two that I was very excited for. Okay, great. All right, so MA was on the watch list. Now, MA really had my eye because of a few things, right? If you look in here, you'll see that this was the weekly entry, right? It broke the weekly entry twice and rejected it, which tells me we're probably going to have an outside week. The week is more than likely going to be a 3. So I need to wait for that 50% rule. This Sarah Strat Sniper breaks down really well for everybody on YouTube. And then by checking out where that is, we can see that the 50% mark is actually right here at its daily entry. Come on. When things line up, and it ain't no accident. It's not an accident. That thing is lining up right at the daily entry. So even though it looked very powerful yesterday to swing, which I did, and it ended up starting all the way up here, which was like, and you can see I had an alert right here that's like, hey, if we really cross this, maybe it's time to abandon the swing that I'm in. But it didn't. And I was down on the play for majority of the day. But if you saw the screenshot, or it's not even a screenshot, this is like my actual P&L, you can see it's up, MA is up 140%. Man, it's kind of hard to see. MA, 140%. Man, I got to get better at this. But regardless, right? Broke through entry. Let's talk about it. As you can see, this thing was steadily staying beneath the VWAP for quite some time. Something happened today and things just took a nose dive down. And so when it signaled and broke entry, you're way beneath the VWAP, you're way beneath the bottom band, you're beneath the pre-market low. You have a lot of things on your side, including the 50% rule that we just broke down for the weekly to potentially become an outside week. And wouldn't you know it, once we break, 2 down, almost popped up, didn't have the strength because it literally started up here and then immediately started falling down. So if you were somebody that's like, okay, well, I'll get out of this when it becomes a 2 up. Well, it did start off as a 2 up and then immediately became a failed 2 to the downside. So it would have been like, let me stay in this for a second. It's not quite doing what it looked like it was about to do just a second ago, which is going back up to test out entry. It looks like it's still just bleeding back down. And then wham, we take out all daily price targets. That's when it's time to, count your blessings, because 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes it took to reach this. But remember, I was planning for the outside week, which means that I'm really looking for it to break past the weekly stop loss. And it did just that, making it a 140% return that I'm still in a swing for. I already cut majority of the contracts that I had for it on everything that I showed. Uber, I started with 5, I only have 2 contracts left. AMD, same thing, started with 5, only have 2 contracts left. And MA, I have 1 contract left because it had already done so freaking well that I'm just swinging 1 contract, and that 1 contract is up over 140%. So it's sitting pretty well right now. All right, next thing up, Uber. Now Uber, same thing, right? Look at this freaking candle here. This is screaming, I want to come to the downside. But it also is lining up with the weekly entry for the weekly play that I gave everybody. Okay, so it's got like 2 things kind of happening all at the same time right here. You could have gotten it on the weekly and been in it a little bit earlier before the daily. If you did, you would have been able to ride it from here all the way down to its second to the last. The final weekly PT is actually from right here, but it bounced off of this bad boy right there so smoothly. Now let's go to the 5 minute so we can kind of see how would we be able to track this on a lower time frame. We actually do break entry pretty early in the morning and then immediately go back up. But this is why you don't delete your trend lines. Because as you can see by this trend line right here that I've had, we don't want to go above this thing. In fact, the only moment that we did was like we put our toes into the pool. We didn't like how the water felt. We immediately got back out of it. Tried one more time. Water still ain't feeling good. See you later. Goodbye. Right? We do end up breaking entry and taking out PT1 here. And remember, I hate how close pivots are sometimes, but it's good to be aware of where they are. That way you can see when we break them or when we're bouncing off of them. We did bounce off of it early in the day, but that second attempt and on a bigger scale of things, this is really just a break and a retest. The break, the retest, the break again, right? With that break again, we're beneath the bottom band. We're breaking the daily entry. We're in time frame continuity for the weekly. We take out PT1, PT2 for the daily, PT3. We get a little choppy for a second, and as participants are deciding what they want to do around this algorithm, and we break through it. And once we break through it, we take out PT1 on the weekly, right? And so the weekly, these are things that you're only getting if you're inside the Discord with the other students. This is you're getting the bigger plays as well. Once we broke through that, we came to test up the weekly again, the break, the retest, the re-break, and then we go again for the next weekly PT, which is right here. Took that bad boy out, then took out the last daily price target, and then bounced off of what was close to the final. As you can see right in here, there's the other weekly. I'm going to put it back, but the other weekly last PT is right in there. So with the way that things bled today, I will be very honest. I would not be surprised if there was a big gap up tomorrow for a lot of things. Typically that happens whenever things just shoot down with like a huge velocity. There's all these people that are like, oh, I'm going to swing a whole lot of puts and stuff like that. And then it'll start up in the morning, similar to how things did today, right? Think about how things were today, where it looked like there was a ton of people that were going to be swinging puts overnight. And then it started all the way up here. And at the beginning of the day, you started off negative 40%. You went to negative 50%. How do you know? How do I know? It was me. I was one of those people. But then we ended up doing exactly what it was supposed to do. And I had contracts that were for next week. So I felt comfortable going for the weekly Fib 50 on this, which, as you can see, successful. So God bless. I hope everything is going well for you. And I will see you soon. Enjoy.